Hello there, this is James, and you're watching OneRoyal, and it's live. In today's program, I want to talk about what has got the market really excited and given that market a little bit of hope, and with a potential that there is light at the end of the tunnel. This whole trade war could de-escalate, and discuss how some warnings from a major chairman of a major central bank, his warnings are falling on deaf ears. But before we get into all of that, don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research, do your own due diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. With that out of the way, let's get started. So, indeed, it does look like there is an announcement, and actually, in fact, the details of what I'm going to be talking about is actually happening right now. So we'll keep an eye on the market and some more details of this announcement. But let me explain to you what the announcement is first. Well, basically, it does appear that indeed this special relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom still exists. Because Trump, right now, actually, in fact, as I speak, is announcing details of a trade deal with the UK. Now, this is the first trade deal that the Trump administration has done since Liberation Day. And this is what the market has got all excited about. Last night, Trump posted this: a major trade deal with a big and highly respected country will be announced. So after he said that, he said this last night, the market assumed straight away, or made a guess straight away, it was a trade deal with the United Kingdom. Okay, because in many ways, it should be a pretty easy deal to do, because the trade deficit between the US and the UK is actually quite small. And that's a thing that Trump has a major issue with. He then confirmed it indeed was the United Kingdom, because he said this. He said, because of our long history and our allegiance together, it is a great honor to have the United Kingdom as our first announcement. Many other deals, which are in a serious stage of negotiation, are to come. Now, don't forget, currently, the UK faces a universal 10% tariffs on its exports and 25% levy on steel and aluminium and cars. So there is so much excitement about this. And we'll have a look at the market at the moment, because like I said, this trade announcement is happening right now. We'll try and see if we can find some details of what is being said as we're live on air. But from this excitement, what did it mean for the market? Well, of course, there was much rejoicing, because this is a really good news. Because if this is a sign that one trade deal is being done with the UK, like I said, it's probably one of the easiest trade deals to do with a country, because the trade deficit between the US and the UK is very, very small. It's not that big compared to other countries. And this does give sort of the market a little bit of hope that if this first one's done, then more deals will come. More trade deals will be done. So this is why the market's so excited. It's not just because it's the UK. Okay, UK, don't forget, is what, the sixth biggest economy in the world. So it's not, it's to do with the fact that the market is looking at this and saying we're one step closer, potentially, of de-escalating this trade war. But here's my one question. And again, we'll try and look at some details in a minute. This trade announcement could indeed, in fact, disappoint the market, couldn't it? Because there's so much excitement. We could see a case of buy the rumor, sell the fact. I'm looking at my chart at the moment. The S&P 500 is not really moving. It hasn't really changed direction either as well. So maybe it hasn't started yet. But there is a lot of anticipation. We'll bring up the markets in a moment. There's something else I want to talk about the UK as well. Because it's been a big week for the UK, a really big week for the UK. Because as well as obviously the trade deal being announced right now with the US, they also announced earlier this week a trade deal with India. So it looks like the UK are running around and, doing some business at the moment. And on top of that, today as well, like I say, it's been a big week for the UK. Bank of England has cut interest rates to 4.25%. This was pretty much as expected. But anyway, let's have a quick look at the markets now and see, like I say, we can see the excitement on this announcement of a trade deal between the US and the UK. This is the S&P 500. As you can see, okay, like I say, it opened with a gap upwards, which is refreshing to see. Currently up 0.46%. The the NASDAQ was the same as well. That's trading higher as well, up 73%, 0.73%. And the Dow Jones, again, it's up 220 points. So nothing mad. But again, it has given it a little bit of a boost. What is interesting, though, initially, we saw a lot of dollar strength as well on the back of this. And it didn't actually go above 100. It hasn't been above 100 for a while. But they did actually breach and go above 100. It's currently trading now slightly under it at 99.88. And I tell you something else as well. The dollar obviously gained a little bit of strength against the euro today. The euro did indeed fall under 112. And it did gain strength against the British pound, obviously. But because of this, we also saw sterling strength, as well as you can see with the euro sterling coming under pressure, currently trading at 0.8480. And anyway, let's look at the quick Mac 7 as well, because everybody's in a better mood today. Tesla's up 1.87%. Meta is up 0.69%. Microsoft up 0.89%. Amazon up 0.82%. Alphabet up 1.38%. And Nvidia up 0.05%. In fact, just on a side note, Nvidia did get a bit of a boost because the laws curbing chips has been removed by the Trump administration. This is what was put in place by Biden before, obviously, he left the White House. But so that should give the chip making companies a bit more of a boost as well. I want to get onto a different story, though. First of all, let's have a quick look, see if there's any, because it's happened. It's been should be talking for about 9 minutes. So see if there's any news of it or what is being said at the moment. See if there's any highlights of any statements, or if we get a rough idea of what this UK trade deal is going to be like. Let's have a quick look and see if we can find it. Because like I say, it is happening right now. Ideally, in an ideal world, it would have been good to do a watch along. But we weren't prepared for that today. Let's have a look. See if there's any news. Nothing at the moment. Nothing concrete or nothing in particular being said at the moment. So let's check again, see if we can find something. Because like I say, it's literally happening as we speak. Let's see if I can find if there's anything here. My good old trusty mobile, which I never leave because it always keeps me up to date on the markets. No, nothing more development on it, apart from the fact that we know, apparently, according to Trump, this trade deal is going to be full and comprehensive. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit more, though, on a different manner. Because though this is exciting and the market is happy, because it's like I say, this is signs potentially that we can get this trade deal done. then other countries will also do deals with Trump, because this is what he's saying. Plenty of negotiations. This is just the first one. It's not all rosy, of course, because there's a couple of things I want to talk about. First, about the European Union. Okay. Now, the European Union has launched a dispute on US tariffs with the World Trade Organization. This is what they had to say. The EU Commissioner is. It is with unequivocal view, easy for me to say, of the EU that these tariffs blatantly violate fundamental WTO rules. And there's another point there, other thing as well. Don't forget, I talked about this yesterday. The EU is also preparing a counterattack looking at opposing tariffs on $107 billion worth of US goods. This includes the likes of bourbon, alcohol, whiskey, things of this nature. Okay. So there is worrying signs that though, okay, the UK sounds like potentially is a good thing, but don't forget, Trump doesn't have a problem with the UK. Trump has a problem with the European Union. Okay. Like I said before on other videos or broadcasts, we discussed this. He has said that the European Union was made or constructed to attack America. So he has a big issue with the EU. So whatever trade deal can be made with the European Union, it's not going to be easy like with the UK, because there is a bit of a trade deficit between the EU and the US. So that's slightly dampering. This is why I'm saying we're not out of the woods yet, just because the UK deal the UK deal is being done, and the details of that we'll find out. And again, don't forget, there is huge doubts as well, that the negotiations on the weekend between China and US won't mount to anything. It's just maybe a case of trying to calm everything down, but it's not going to get anywhere close to a deal at the weekend. So again, no time to get out the bunting. No time, okay, be happy a little bit because there is progress with one trade deal. Doesn't mean this trade war is over. By far we're over, because we still have so many looming questions. And there's something else because of this announcement by Trump. Excuse me. Because of this announcement with Trump, the markets ignore something else which happened yesterday. And that is basically the Fed, as we anticipated, as we expected, didn't raise interest rates. We expected that. Instead, they were more of a case of wait and see type policy. But here's the thing. It was a press conference, like I mentioned, was the most important thing to keep an eye out with. And surprisingly, Trump hasn't said anything about this. Instead, he's been talking all about this UK trade deal. Usually by now, he's attacking Powell for being a moron, which Trump thinks he is, or being too late. That's what things Trump has said over the last couple of weeks, but he hasn't said anything as of yet. But like I say, it's the press conference which was more important. And this is what Powell had to say. For the time being, we are well positioned to wait for greater clarity before considering any adjustments to our policy stance. Now, don't forget, last week we talked about it already. US GDP came in contracted for the first time in 3 years. Okay. And though inflation isn't rising, it's still above the Fed's target as well. Well, don't forget the Fed's target is 2%, but it's still above that. Powell also went on to say this: my gut tells me that uncertainty about the path of the economy is extremely elevated, and that the downside risk has increased. So he is indeed very worried. I mean, he was one step away of saying the dreaded word, which nobody wants to hear, is the word stagflation. This is when obviously growth and employment starts to, well, unemployment goes up, but growth starts to fall and inflation starts to rise. He was a little bit away from saying that word, but still, it was a warning all the same. But still, he didn't say anything. Well, no, say he did say it, but the market's not listening. The market is not paying attention to it. They're too busy, wrapped up in this UK story. And anyway, let's have a quick look. I want to, obviously, it wouldn't be a program of mine or broadcast of mine if we didn't look at gold. So have a quick look at gold, because gold is, I think, second day of losses today. But again, it's still maintaining above the $3,300 level, currently trading around $3,055. So though we have seen a bit of a sell-off on the yellow metal, it's not completely, in bear territory at the moment. Still maintaining his trade about $3,355. Like I say, way from the area of interest I'm keeping an eye on, which is potential support of $3,100 as well. Let's have a quick look at the euro today. Like I said, the euro started off very badly because we had dollar strength today on the back of this trade announcement. But yeah. Anyway, let's have one quick look, see if I can see any developments, any news on what is being said on this trade agreement as we're live on air. Let me have a quick look, see if there's anything. Like I said, the market is not really done anything at the moment. It's no real change. So there's one more look at, check out one more source to see in case we can find something. But the market is not really changed from its happy feeling it's had all day. Let's have a look. No, still nothing at the moment. Okie dokie. So we're all going to need to run off and watch it. Don't forget, this is a live broadcast, so you can ask me questions anytime you wish, or share with me, more importantly, your opinions, because I like to hear your opinions and what you think. Do you think this UK-US trade deal is the start of more deals to come? Have we turned the corner of this trade war, or are we kidding ourselves? Let me know stuff like that. And don't forget, like I always say, if you're watching me on YouTube and you like this sort of content, you like this sort of stuff, subscribe if you like. Hit the notification button so you know next time we're going live. And if you've put up with me and you like what we do, give us one of these. It's nice to know that you like what we do. And the same if you're on Twitter, X, I keep forgetting. If you like this sort of stuff, by all means, make a comment. Let us know what you think, and maybe give us a heart, so to speak. The other thing I do notice, a lot of people often go back and watch the recording, which is great, because I love the support. But like I say, if you're watching the recording later on YouTube, that is, and you have a question or you have a comment, put it in the comment section below. I will see it and I will reply to it next time I go live on air, which of course will be tomorrow, as we go live every single day. Okie dokie. If there is no questions, not a problem. Not a problem. Leaves me to say one thing. Don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should ever be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research, do your own due diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. Till next time, every single one of you, trade safe.